It blew the rebound knob right out of the shock. Oh, I didn't want to break. I didn't mean to break it. I'm sorry guys, but we'll fix it.
Yeah. You found some place that will rebuild it?
So they say.
Okay. And what about, I mean, the fork is leaking, right?
A lot.
So should we look at getting like a Judy as a backup for this thing?
I love that Judy XL. It's purple, it's dual crown.
It's not gonna match the bike.
The bike doesn't match itself.
We have this stand set up right now. What if we did a video
on
like the 3 or 4 most common things that walk through the door that are like simple fixes? Pedals, headset, rotor bolts, axle.
You think those are all tight on your bike?
I hope.
We can find out. Yeah, we can do that.
We got everything set up.
Cool.
So we're good. I think we just roll the intro.
Welcome to Squatch Bikes.
If you ride a mountain bike, chances are all of those things have been loose on your bike before, but we're going to start with pedals. Right pedals are normal threads, left pedals are reverse threads. Simply put, they tighten towards the front of the bike and they loosen towards the back. What does that mean? That means if I put my 6 mil in the back of my pedal here, I'm going to tighten towards the front, and I'm going to loosen towards the back. Front of the bike, back of the bike. Both sides it works the same way. So we're just going to go ahead and make sure that this is tight. You can either use an Allen key on the back if that's how your pedals work, or in some cases, they just have wrench flats. You don't want to use a 15mm wrench or a cone wrench. You can damage the pedal. You want to use a pedal wrench. So what I like to do is put the cranks backwards towards the back of the bike, put the tool on towards the front, and tighten towards the front of the bike on both sides. The next most common thing that we see walking through the door is loose through axles. The through axle is what holds the wheel into the bike or the fork. We see a lot of this. Shaky wheels, we don't like that. We certainly don't want our wheels coming off when we're riding in the woods. So let's make sure that they're tight. All through axles that I've ever seen are standard thread, which is righty tighty, lefty loosey. In this case, we have a lever in the front. We spin it tight and we use the lever on top to make sure that it's fully tight against the fork. And in the back, we use an Allen key in this case. We spin clockwise, set it to the proper torque, and make sure that that's snug. This is something that you definitely want to check every other ride. I don't think anybody would argue with me in saying that brakes are extremely important to riding a mountain bike. The third most common thing we see come through the door is loose rotor bolts. If you ever feel a strange vibration or hear some clicking when using your brakes, you probably have some loose rotor bolts. We're going to go over 6-bolt rotors, not center lock today. This is a tool that we use to tighten down rotor bolts. Unless you're in NASCAR, we don't use this tool, so just don't use it. I like to tighten in a cross pattern to make sure that I get everything correctly. So we go for our first one at 12 o'clock, then we go to 6, then we go to its neighbor, we go across, and once again, continue around the circle, tighten, and then go all the way across, and finish. This is something that I do want to make sure that we're all checking once a week, once every 2 weeks, and if you ever hear any strange noise while braking, definitely just check it. The next most common thing that we see come through the door is a loose headset. What's a headset? I don't know. I do though. I say I don't know. What's a headset? This is a headset right here. The bearing down here and the bearing up here. And if your bike sounds like this when you drop it, it's probably loose. The way that I like to check a headset for being loose is to hold the front brake, make sure I'm off the bike, and shake forwards and backwards, like this. If you see what we see here, your headset is definitely very loose. The way that we want to tighten this, you have to loosen our 2 stem bolts first. You want to make sure that your stem can spin freely. That means that everything is ready to be tightened. You take your headset top cap, you start to tighten it down until you feel contact. I like to give it just a little bit of rock. I use my fingers right here along the top of the headset cup here just to feel if there's any movement in the bearing. If there's not, you've tightened it enough. You don't need to go past that. So once you've got that set and your handlebars are straight again, go ahead and tighten down your stem bolts to the correct torque labeled on the stem. There's no need to overdo it. And then I always like to give one final check forwards and sideways. So what I mean by that is, once again, I hold the front brake, put my fingers on that headset cup right there, move forwards. If I feel no movement, we're good. I sit on the bike, I rotate the bar sideways, holding the brake. I do the same thing and make sure I don't feel any movement like I saw before. Now your headset is tight. You're ready to ride.
So that's the conclusion to the 4 main issues we see come through the door on mountain bikes. Go home, check out your bike before your next ride, and enjoy it. We'll see you next time.